Let me know if you guys got good audio coming through. I'm going to take a look at, hopefully you guys got audio coming through. I'm going to take a look at some draft stuff and just talk about the different paths or strategies that I think the Ravens may have. By no means should it be considered exactly what I think the Ravens are going to do, because I honestly think that the Ravens' strategy will depend on or rely on who's available to them at 14, or who's taken earlier. I think there's some interesting, probably some interesting options there for the Ravens to go to. Um, Fabian, what's up, man? You got me? I think there's some interesting options for the Ravens to go to, depending on who is available at 14. And by no means are the pictures I'm showing considered comprehensive. I'm certainly not going to show college all 22 film um, after the issues that I've had. But I just figured I'd talk about certain guys and things that I had seen, and gather feedback if people join in and find the content interesting. Some of the things that I had seen, or what I thought I had seen, was that when you compare some of the edge rushers, to me they share some similarities, but the guy that appears different to me is Trayvon Walker. And what I mean by that is he seems to be a guy that can play a head up, a four technique, a head up guy, a five technique, a nine against the tight end. He seems very multiple. It looked to me like Georgia's defensive structure was quite multiple, and they asked him to do a number of things. Fabian, you still got me on the audio or no? I would categorize all these guys that I have pictures of as absolute edge players, but Trayvon Walker I think should be in a slightly different category. I think Trayvon Walker can play a little bit more of a 3-4 D tackle and an edge player. He seems quite multiple. Okay, gotcha, Fabian, gotcha. A couple of the things that I had noticed, and the guy that I have watched the least amount of film of is Thibodeau from Oregon. He's the guy who I've watched the least amount of film of, to be honest with you. And I thought that the high end capability that he has is quite impressive. I mean, if you were to talk about ceiling and floor out of this group, he may have the highest ceiling. All of the questions about him and why he went to Oregon as opposed to other places is kind of silly to me. You're talking about a guy who made a decision, I think, when he was 18 years old. So I don't know. I think those type of things should be left to the future to figure out. I think the guy's got the highest ceiling out of all of these dudes. I don't know what other people have seen. Certainly, the guy who has the best resume from freshman year until he came out in the draft is Aiden Hutchinson. There's no comparison. He's got the best resume. The guy who had the best season last year, to me, is obviously Jermaine Johnson. So there's a lot to be said there for each guy, and and a lot of positives to taking whoever's available at 14. Certainly, if you don't take these guys at 14, they're not even going to be there probably at 35. Let alone where the Ravens got 45 or 46, 45 or 46, I think. Desmond, first of all, Desmond, thank you for joining the stream. I think I even mentioned in a video last week, maybe it was another live stream. It wouldn't surprise me if the Ravens traded up. If they see a guy who they think fills a need, it wouldn't surprise me at all. I think, yeah, I think they will not pass up on Daxton Hill. Um, I think they will pass up on Ojabo, and I don't mean necessarily at 14. I don't think Hill is a guy that you take at 14. Before the videos got taken down on my other channel, I don't know if you guys had seen it. I personally think Daxton Hill is a great pick in the first round, but not at 14. I don't know, man. It's Owen. First of all, Owen, thank you for joining the stream. I think it's tough to trade back because how often are the Ravens going to have a pick at 14? You know what I mean? Like now, then again, if they can parlay that into some other value, then fantastic, wonderful. And I trust that they would be able to make those decisions. It would be hard. It would be hard for me to pass up on Trayvon Walker or Aiden Hutchinson, which I don't think either one of them is going to be there at 14. I really don't. It would be hard for me to pass up on, and I think that if Thibodeau is there, man, that kind of talent at 14, it's gonna be difficult. I mean, is edge rusher a bigger need than? I mean, I think O line is the bigger need, John. First of all, John, thank you for joining the stream. I think O line is the biggest need. I think we can, probably agree on that. Um, it's the most glaring need. It's even if all the needs were equal. Let's say for what's up, skeptic man? How you doing? Thank you for joining the stream, man. ¿Cómo está? Um, I don't know. I don't know how, even if all the needs were equal, I don't know how you could say O line's not the biggest need, given that we're trying to protect that guy right there. You know, protect him and put him in the situation to actually do the things he's capable of doing. I just don't know how. I don't know how O line's not the biggest need, but it depends on who's there at 14. You guys tell me what you think. I mean, I wouldn't want to take a guy. I don't mean to be disparaging, but I wouldn't want to take a guy like Nicholas Petit Ferreira or some of the other guys that are not capable. Even Penning, I wouldn't want to take him at 14 just because he's the best offensive tackle available in that range. I don't know. So John, I'm not really answering your question. I guess me personally, I would say O line, but it could be up to what those guys right there think. You know what I mean? And what's available at 14. I personally think the Ravens have two or three different strategies to use depending on who's there at 14. Tristan, who do you need? Tristan Martin, who do you mean not passing on Petre? Who do you mean? Byron Hood, O-line? Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, I think the sexy pick is the edge guys. And I do have a little bit of film here, just to be honest with you, but I'm not going to annotate the film. It's film I've talked about before. I just didn't think people wanted to look at pictures and listen to my voice the whole time. I don't find myself that entertaining at all. I've gone back and listened to some of my live streams and thought, damn, man, how are 30 people sitting there listening to me? Wesley, I fear the Ravens will miss out on one of the blue chip guys due to teams opting for proven QBs. Oh, wow. Interesting point. Okay. John, Azike, Lamar needs a solid line. I agree. If a guy like Charles Cross is still there in the 10, 11 range, I think it has to be an option for us to think about trading up. That's what I mean when I say three possible strategies. What I mean is staying put at 14, trading up, which I know nobody talks about. Okay, cool. Or trading back, which I know a lot of people have talked about. I mean, I'd be okay with either three, but kind of like Skeptic said in a tweet, I think 2 or 3 days ago, at this point, I'm not sure that I trust, you know, I don't trust the process of us going with so many fourth round picks. Now we do have 2 third round picks. Am I correct there? Or is it one? Maybe it's one. But I don't really trust that whole procedure of us having stacking up so many fourth round picks. Yeah, Desmond says we don't need 10 picks if they're not all going to play. Yep. Awesome. Well, Skeptic, appreciate that, man, especially coming from you. Um, I just don't think that And I'm not saying it's not a winning formula, but that shouldn't be the formula every year. You know what I mean? It's not the formula every year. A guy that I was talking to the other day, he said this crazy stuff that didn't make sense at first, but I'll try to recreate his point. He said the draft is like your Halloween outfit. You don't go with the same outfit every year. You don't go with the same strategy every year. To the to the Halloween party. You don't go with the same type of outfit every year. Some years you go with one thing, some years you go with another. Some years you try to be funny based on something that's happening in the world at that moment, and some years you just go with some basic Dracula shit. So I think that great. We used that strategy some year with those extra fourths. Michael Griffin, perfect timing, man. Some years you use them extra fourths to move up and trade for or proven veterans, or maybe the consideration is Lamar's contract, and they are looking to they are looking to get some cheaper players. Hey, I get that too. I get that too. Like James and Victoria just said. James, what's up, man? I don't want to see us end up. You guys, I'm going to digress for a second here. I don't want to see us end up like the Chiefs, and I don't mean their offense at all, because their offense is great. I'm saying I don't want to see us end up where we have a great offense, but a historically bad defense, because that was a historically bad defense, Kansas City. If you guys remember through 7 or 8, maybe it wasn't 7 or 8, maybe it was 5 or 6 games. I don't know. Correct me, in the comment section, because it's a lot of y'all in here already. So they were giving up the most yards per play defensively ever through a certain point in the season. I don't know where. Maybe it was only 4 games. I know that Brett Coleman did a video on it and talked about it, and I watched that video again like 2 weeks ago. I watched it during the season. You like that analogy, Skeptic? I don't even know. The guy that I was talking to wasn't even a football guy. He just was a fan. I mean, he wasn't a football coach. He was just a fan. I'm reading the comment. Future first skeptic, man. You read my mind. Absolutely. Here's my thought. A a player or a higher draft pick this year to me means more than that pick a year or two from now every year. I'm not saying we should trade away future assets all the time, but to me, someone you have right now to help you right now is better than someone that doesn't arrive for a year or two in any case. You know, if the players are equal. Now, having said that, with the Ravens team that we should have next year, everybody, people healthy, hopefully, God willing, and offensive line figured out, because everything else could be figured out on this team except the offensive line, and we would still be here a year from now bitching and complaining about what could have been, what could have been. And I know some of it this year was out of their control, with Ronnie Stanley and situations like that. But so skeptic, I'd be awesome with that. If they got rid of a future first or a future second, what's the big deal? You deal with each situation, as it happens. And you can't, I don't know, you can't just hold on to those future assets and act like you can't do anything with them. They are assets. I don't know. That's how I feel. Michael Griffin had said it. Use some of the extra fourths. I mean, yeah, if you could package a future pick and a fourth round pick from this year, one of them extra ones, and somehow get another younger player, wonderful. But I did want to I'm showing some plays. I did want to talk a little bit more about the edge guys and see if people agree or disagree with me or have more to add to it. Because again, now I've only watched 2 games of this guy. So we'll start left to right. I've only watched 2 games of him. Not even gonna try to pronounce the last name. I'm not. I know his first name is George, and I know he's a badass dude. So to me, he looks like he could play a 3-4 edge player. He could also be a 4-3 DN with his hand in the ground. I thought he was solid. Don't get me wrong, a really solid player. And I thought he probably is going to be a good pro, and depending on where he ends up, he could be really good. 2 day 1 starters in the trenches, that'd be a great idea, Michael. I would say that George, however you say his last name, clearly has a lower ceiling, than this guy right here. and that would be where I would start. Like if he's available at 14, you can pass on him. Talent wise, if he's available, or Trayvon Walker, Aiden Hutchinson, neither three of those guys in the center should be available. Agree? They should not be available at 14, but you never know what the hell people are going to do. I don't think you can pass on those guys at 14 unless somebody like Charles Cross is there, or some of the other people that theoretically are available in some of the mock drafts that people do. You guys like the draft process? I didn't used to. I'm enjoying it this year. I'm probably going to be wrong about 2/3 of the stuff I say. Trevor Penny, man, Byron. I don't. First of all, Byron, I appreciate your comment again, but I wouldn't, I don't think he's 14 talent. I mean, I don't think he's 14 talent. I really don't. I think this draft is very deep, but and this is going to get into something that maybe a couple of you guys will have some expertise with. I think athletes are becoming better trained every year. They should be in better condition every year, and they should be better trained for the specific drills you do at the combine every year. I mean, I have a little bit of knowledge of that, not the NFL combine, but high school stuff, and we should see better scores as time goes on. You should see faster times as time goes on. So maybe it appears to be deeper, but I actually think this draft is deeper. Maybe not deeper in terms of top 5 talent, and it certainly doesn't look deeper when you look at the quarterback stuff. But I mean, I'm excited. Hey, if they traded back to 22, 23, or even 17, and gained an extra third or something like that, man, it'd be awesome. James and Victoria, I mean, it's going to be an unpopular opinion. I think Jordan Davis looks like the most impactful football player in the draft to me. At what he does well. Let me put it. Let me focus it in on the things that Jordan Davis does well. Dominate the run game, win one-on-one blocks, split double teams, not get moved off the line of scrimmage, and even on stretch plays, for being as big as he is on stretch plays, it's not like he can't move laterally and stay engaged with the defensive lineman and win his battle. He's damn sure not getting scooped on the backside of on the backside of stretch plays. He's not getting scooped. Period. He's a monster. I think he's the best player in the draft for what he does well. Am I saying he's the best player in the draft overall? No, I'm not saying that, because he apparently doesn't play as many snaps as other people, and some people would say he's only a 2-down lineman. That's ridiculous. He's going to play. He's going to play on third and 8. He's going to, because look how athletic a guy is. Agreed, skeptic. Agreed. It's the starts. Yep. Yep. Always said that. And you know yourself. I know a little bit about what you do. That's the things you can control and the things you can improve on. You're going to. But that top end speed on some level is capped out for some people. Anyway, moving left to right, the guy I know the least about, or the guy I have the most interest in knowing the least about, is that guy right there. I think Jermaine Johnson looks like an absolute stud. Absolute stud. His story's crazy. Skeptic, having said all that I just said, I would not take Jordan Davis at 14. Me personally. But that's why I'm not in any position like that, or never will be capable. I would think the offensive line need is greater, but is it intriguing to think about Davis and Matabike, and hell, if Calais Campbell is back for one more year, holy shit, wow, he's a monster. Michael Griffin said Penning seems like this year's bust. Yeah, there's some accuracy in what you're saying from what people say. I mean, I'm trying to focus on edge players, me personally, right now, but I mean, yeah, there's some signs there that that he's not who people thought he was 4 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago, 8 weeks ago. There could be a reason why he was playing FCS and not FBS, but he's pretty good. He's pretty good from what I see. He's better than Nicholas Petit Ferreira. He's better than the left tackle for Penn State. I forget that guy's name. And you know Penn State's a great school, great college football program, but Penning's better than those two, if you ask me. Truth Bearer, what's up, man? Thank you for joining the stream. Yeah, I agree. So the guy and another guy that really intrigues me a lot is Aiden Hutchinson's. I went into watching his film, um, thinking that he was a little bit overhyped, and realized that I was probably wrong. I saw him against Alabama in 2019 film, I believe, his freshman year, and he worked them dudes. He worked them dudes. If all five of these guys were there at 14, which is not going to happen, but if they were all there, who do I take? I probably take Jermaine Johnson or Trayvon Walker. Me personally. But having said that, this guy right here is the one who I think has the most high end potential from the film. The guy who can make the most plays on the other side of the line of scrimmage. But I know there's some issues about with him supposedly about motivation level and stuff like that. Jordan Davis might be a combine wonder. I mean, it's possible, truth, but man, the film that I saw, holy moly, man, him taking on run blocks was just badass, badass. Yeah, Jermaine Johnson looks ridiculous. They all look great, really high end. It shouldn't surprise us, and I think Skeptic will have something to offer on this. It shouldn't surprise us that at certain positions you're seeing way more depth now, because that's where the premier athletes are playing from the time they're 15 years old. From the time some of these edge guys are 15 years old, they're 14 years old, they're playing edge. Their technique gets better. They go to the high end off-season camps sooner, earlier in their high school career. They get better coaching because they probably go to better schools, and then they go to better colleges as well. It doesn't surprise me that edge players, wide receivers, and in some cases tight ends is drawing more athletes than maybe some of those positions did 25 years ago. I don't know if that makes sense to y'all or not. It don't surprise me at all. Who do I think is going to be there at 14? I think the guy from Purdue is going to be there at 14. I don't know who the hell else after that. I don't see how you can pass off on these dudes. I really don't. I mean, Trayvon Walker could be there at 14. But now, having said that, if Bowser's healthy, and we need to give Oweh reps. I'm just going to say it as a Ravens fan. Oweh needs to get more reps. I liked the Justin Houston signing. When it happened. In hindsight, though, looking back on it, man, all my Miami film is shitty looking. In hindsight, though, looking back at the Justin Houston signing, how many reps did Oweh miss? I mean, yeah, there was some technique or things that he didn't do well, and not only how many reps did he miss, how many times was he at 3 technique, or how many times were we QB spying him? And to me, long term, Oweh is an edge player, period. He's an edge player. Looking back, there's a part of me that thinks I wish we didn't sign Justin Houston. But I think the same thing about Sammy Watkins. They both did some good things. They both, to me, had good seasons. Not saying they did not play well. Having said that, I just wish Oweh had got some more reps. For real. Giovanni, what's up, man? Thank you for joining the stream. Trayvon Walker's the guy at 14. Yeah, I don't think he makes it to us, but he definitely could. Absolutely, J Mill. Perfect way of saying it. Bobby Wagner got released. Wow. I like Dalen Hayes, man. I thought he looked good in the I thought he looked good in the preseason for the year. It could push a guy down. I agree, Skeptic. That's a good point. Yep. Yeah, I mean, if someone wanted to say to me, hey, there's nothing wrong with having 3 edge rushers, cool. All right, I got you. I understand. But then we're talking about allocating resources. And the only reason we could possibly draft an edge rusher in the first round is because Bowser's contract is so team friendly. Agreed? Someone said it in a comment section a couple of weeks ago, like, Bowser's contract is ridiculously team friendly for the production that we get out of him. For real. I think so anyway. Yeah, Giovanni, I agree. Trayvon Walker looks really good. He played a lot of 4 technique. He played some 4-eye, which is like inside shade of the tackle. Georgia's defense was really interesting. I wish that I wish I could do all 22 stuff on YouTube because I have a lot of Georgia defense in my database that I've kind of categorized and organized, and I wish I could show people some of the things I think they were doing. Truth Bearer, that was Wink trying to overthink. I guess you're talking about Oweh. I agree. He has to, Michael Griffin. He has to. I'm going to move on a little bit because I'd like to keep this quick moving if I could. I do not have any film for this because I was not going to subject people to watching Villanueva at all. And even to some extent, some of the guys we had at left guard at times, they struggled. Um, how I would categorize this is to me no brainer, no brainer. No matter where he is, if he's available to us, we take him, and we take him. Yeah, I know you like this guy a lot, and I like him too. I watched 2 films of him, and I intentionally skeptic put this in here. His pass pro is unusual. His pass pro is unusual. Yeah, I agree. It can be fixed. Yep. So you saw what I saw, like the way he's engaging people from the bottom up late sometimes, which not saying that doesn't work, but there's some times where he's too late. I'm totally impressed by Cross and also this guy, the guy from Minnesota. I mean, he's a monster. At 14, no, I wouldn't think so. Penning at 14, no. I don't know where Tyler Smith will go. I don't know what range. I'm not good. I don't think I'm good at this at all at projecting the range people are taking. The only thing I think I might be good at is watching the film and saying what I think I see. But even still, it's incomplete because I can't watch every film until this becomes my full-time job, which would be a blessing. Michael Griffin said, I think our new coordinator will let Oweh be our primary rusher. Yeah, I would agree, especially with how versatile Tyus Bowser is. Tyus Bowser plays great against the pass. He can play man. He can play man on tight ends and running backs. Bowser's a extremely underrated player, man. Extremely. That's what I thought of Tyler Smith too. Great, great film against who was the one you told me? You told me Cincinnati in 2020. It looked good there. Watch that one. Looked real good. Wasn't too sure of the D end he was playing against. Um, it didn't look like the same number as their D end this year, who was pretty good. I forget his name, but yeah, it looked good in 2020 against Cincinnati. Move up and get eclectic. I mean, if Charles Cross is there at 10, somewhere 9, 10, somewhere around there, depending on who's in front of the Ravens at 11, 12, 13, I would think that there should be a phone call made. I think Charles Cross solves some issues for us. Um, Hamilton's another one. Hamilton's another one. Andrew, good point. He knows that. I personally do not think Ojabo is a 14 pick for us. I don't. I see some issues with stance and being people talked about it was funny. It's funny what gets said about certain people but not others. Like Oweh last year was a little slow off the ball, and there was some times where that was true in the NFL this year. The same thing is true for Ojabo because he's in a bad stance often. So is Hutchinson. And that's one thing I'm not saying I'm worried about with McDonald, but man, you're a high level Division I defensive coordinator. You got 2 edge players out there in bad stances. I would say Ojabo was in a bad stance 12 to 15% of the time on the games that I watched, which was a lot. If you're in my Patreon and you're on the database that I have created for my Patreons, I've got Michigan defensive film on there. You can watch it yourself. Ojabo is in a bad stance about 12 to 15% of the time. Hutchinson, 6 to 8 to 10% of the time. That's 2 guys on the defense. Inside linebackers were never in bad stances for Michigan. Daxton Hill and the DBs were never in bad stances. I hate the thin stance where there's no power angles in your knees, your hips, or your Achilles and your ankles. I don't like that stance at all as an edge player. I don't. You're not ready to play football. And Ojabo was a split second late on his get off. Not 20% of the time. 10, 12, 15% of the time, something like that. Desmond, good point. Hey, I like Ojabo. I think he's a really good player. I think he's talented. I don't think I'll watch that one, Skeptic, that Ohio State game. I've been watching a ton of Big Ten film for real, especially Penn State. Um, Penn State, Maryland, but Ohio State not as much. I'd like to. I do think that the second round offers an opportunity for the Ravens to take a tackle if they go edge player or DB at 14. Who thinks they're going to go? Who thinks I'm gonna do it this way? Who thinks they're going to go? We'll do two choices. I'm not going to do a. I guess I'll do a tally. Who thinks they're going to go O line at 14? And then who thinks they're going to go DB or edge? I don't see any other option. Oh, by the way, skeptic, I did get some film of Jelani Woods from Virginia. Holy smokes! If he was coming from an SEC